Elections are sometimes hard on gun owners, especially with the strict implementation of Comelec gun ban regulations. Business and Leisure interviewed General Val de Leon, NHQ Director of Operations of the Philippine National Police, to clarify election gun ban regulations.
Sports Shoot is brought to you by Rock Island Armory, manufactured by Armscor Global Defense Incorporated.
The 5-month election period for this year's presidential and national elections began on the first Sunday of January and will officially end on June 8. During the entire period, a national gun ban is in place, enforced strictly by law enforcers following resolutions and guidelines issued by the Commission on Elections. This has traditionally been a stressful time for many gun owners. Aside from Comelec checkpoints, gun owners have to deal with Oplan Katok, a door-to-door drive conducted by the Philippine National Police to check the validity of licenses of registered firearms. Under Comelec Resolution number 10728, no one is allowed to bear firearms in public places unless they have secured permission from the Comelec Commission on the Ban of Firearms and Security Concerns, or CBFSC. Business and Leisure visited General Val de Leon, NHQ Director of Operations of the Philippine National Police, to clarify how the Comelec gun ban affects gun ownership during election period and current licensing regulations and procedures.
LTOP stands for License to Own and Possess Firearms. This was introduced when the new law was enacted, otherwise known as the Firearms Law or Republic Act 10591. It is similar to driver's license, and you have to have that basic license before you can own a firearm. But it is different from driver's license kasi ang LTOP is personalized. No? So if I have an LTOP of 45, I cannot have it owned by somebody else. Sa PTC naman, it is a permit to carry firearms outside of residence. This will authorize you to carry your firearms in a concealed manner if you are not a law enforcement agent. There is nothing new. Parehong-pareho yan. The inherent functions of the PNP to regulate firearms ownership, yun pa rin, walang pinagkaiba. No? Ang pagkakaiba lang ngayon ay, since we are under Comelec control, it is the Comelec that has the final say. Meaning, kung ako ay merong PTC-4, permit to carry firearms outside of residence, it will not suffice. Kailangan meron ka pa rin exemption from the Comelec. They have adopted what we have introduced in the Firearms and Explosives Office way back around 5 years ago. Pero ang pag-a-apply nito ngayon ay online. Unlike before noon, you have to go there personally. Once you apply that online in their website, it will go through the process after attaching several documents. At this will go to the vetting of Comelec, AFP, and PNP before you get the certificate of authority to be signed by the Comelec chairman. Sa tagal ko po sa FEO, at sa ating pakikipanayam sa mga gun dealers at saka sa mga shooters, this is advantageous to have a longer registration in LTOP. As a matter of fact, this draws confusion because our registration of firearms has a validity of 4 years and our LTOP has a validity of 2 years and our PTC has a validity of 1 year. So lahat po ito ay nakakaroon sila ng confusion. But the general rule is they should all coexist. So if one license is not valid, then you are not authorized to keep or own or carry your firearms outside of residence. When I was invited several times as the resource person in the Senate and in Congress, ang sabi ko po, isa sa mag-cure ng mga confusion ng ating mga gun owners is to have the same validity of of firearms. No? Kasi kung 4 years ito, gawin din 4 years ang LTOP, gawin din 4 years ang PPC para all in one. No? One salient section that we have introduced, which was adopted by our lawmakers, is it should reckon by to our birthday, just like our driver's license. Recently, we just have signed joint letter directive. Dati kasi ang magkasama lang dito ang AFP and PNP. Now, we already have included in our GSCC yung Coast Guard. Kaya lahat ito ay deputized ng ating Comelec. And they are helping us in the ports and inland. Itong mga armed forces counterparts, nagkakaroon kami ng checkpoint. Joint checkpoints with the armed forces of the Philippines. Under the Comelec resolution, every police station is authorized to conduct a checkpoint. So if there are 1,400 police stations nationwide, then we expect that there are 1,480 plus checkpoints established. No? But we keep on reminding them that we should not hamper the flow of traffic, na kung pwede sila mag-usap, and alternately, they will conduct checkpoints para hindi naman tuwing daan mo sa isang bayan, ikaw ay maantala dahil dito sa isang authority na ito. The Oplan Katok is a project of the PNP that reminds our licensed gun holders to renew their firearms. Ngayon, I have instructed the director of CSG to come up with a measure that hindi na kailangan katukin. No? We have your data. Meron kayong data namin. Meron kayong cellphone namin. 6 months prior expiration of your license, you will be reminded. It is the same. It is a digital reminder.
Under Comelec Resolution number 10741, all checkpoints must be manned by police or military personnel wearing complete service uniform with visible nameplates or identification tags. The checkpoints must be well lit and with signboards to clearly identify them as Comelec checkpoints. Only a visual search is required. Body searches are prohibited. Checkpoint personnel cannot require motorists to open glove compartments or trunks of their vehicles. Drivers and passengers cannot be compelled to step out of their vehicles at Comelec checkpoints unless there is reasonable ground that the persons inside the car have committed or are committing and will commit a crime. Also, personnel manning checkpoints must observe COVID-19 protocols at all times. Those who plan on applying for exemptions from the election gun ban from CBFSC are reminded that applications are going to be accepted until May 5, 2022, and these will be valid until June 8, 2022.
Sport Shoot is brought to you by Rock Island Armory, manufactured by Armscor Global Defense Incorporated.